Willie D Live.
What's up, family? If it's your first time checking out the show, let me know what city, what state you're coming in from. If you're outside of the U.S., let me know what country you represent. Throw up your flag. Family, I need you to smash up the likes, smash up the likes, smash up the likes. Also, if you have not done so already on YouTube after you subscribe, there's a little bell next to your subscribe button. Go ahead and click that thing right now so you can get your notifications each time I drop a new video like this. That way you'll be in the loop. Family, you ain't gonna believe what's going on right here. You know, they say oftentimes it ain't what you know, it's who you know. In a murder case investigation, those words are a bit more resounding. Oh man, fam, you ain't gonna believe this. Well, maybe you will. But first, before I let the cat out the bag, let me show you some pictures. I just want to refresh your memory. So we all know who this guy right here is, right? This is Nolan Wells. This guy has pretty much captured the hearts of millions of people all over the world after he disappeared and then turned up dead on July 6th after hanging out with his buddies, his so-called friends, right? Who is this guy right here? This is the guy, one of his friends who lawyered up to get the dogs off, make sure the dogs stay off of him. And this is Bart Edmondson, right? Bart is an aspiring NFL football player. He plays now for Wyoming. He's a punter, right? And he is the subject of the CETO emergency phone call that when the boat was sinking, Wyatt Pyron made the phone call, and you hear somebody saying, "Damn it, Bart." This is the Bart they're talking about. Damn it, Bart. This is who, well, they allegedly were talking about this guy right here, right? This guy purports to be a friend of Nolan's, right? Now, this guy right here has a very well-to-do and distinguished father who is a doctor. His name is Bart Edmondson Sr., right? He is seen right here in this photo enhancement. See, I went in and did my own enhancement. See, there's a photo of them online, and it ain't quite as clear as this one right here is. I wanted to make things crystal clear for y'all so that we can see that these people in this photo is who is being reported that they are, right? So let's focus on the three people in the middle. The guy directly in the middle is Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves. To the right of him is Bart Edmondson Sr. To the left of the governor is Bart's wife, Elizabeth. Let's stop right there. Elizabeth. Now, why are we talking about Elizabeth Edmondson? You know, what does she have to do with all of this? Well, Elizabeth, turns out, was appointed to the Mississippi Board of Health by guess who? Ding, 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 ding. You guessed it. Governor Tate Reeves. Now, come on, family. Y'all know how this go. If Elizabeth was appointed by Governor Tate Reeves and her husband is Bart Edmondson, and they have a son who is the subject of a murder investigation, could that possibly compromise the government's stance or the governor's stance in this investigation? Could he possibly want to kind of look after his friends? Remember, y'all, this ain't just some picture. This looks like some type of picture where they're on a vacation. This is not just some picture at a hotel or a restaurant or a football game. This looks like some type of vacation picture. Or maybe they're just hanging out, doing what rich folks do, hanging out for lunch. In any event, it does not look good. It does not look good at all. Remember, fam, again, this guy, the governor, the guy in the middle, who was also part of a fraternity that wore blackface and dressed up as Confederates, he is the same guy who appointed Elizabeth to his right, on his right, our left, in the green dress, to the Mississippi Board of Health. Could he possibly want to make sure that he kind of look after his friends? Well, let's bring my good friend in, Paul. Let's say Paul. Let me bring my good friend in, Jack Paul Mary. Jack, come on, man. Come on, man. Help us explain this, man. Like, what the hell is going on here, bro? Like, we got a governor who comes out immediately during a murder investigation and says, we see no foul play. Some people thought that was suspicious, but it turns out that the governor is actually friends with one of the persons who is suspected of being involved, parents. What does a personal connection, or when does a personal connection become a legal conflict, in your opinion?
Right here, right now, we have all the makings of a cover-up.
Boom. Now that, you know what? Now, we are making progress, because I stood there the whole time and I said, this is what it is. But you were reluctant to say that. You were extremely reluctant to say that. And I'm going to tell you, man, for you to come around and hear that evidence, to see how things are stacking up, for you to actually change your position. Most people will not change their position. They'll stand on that hill. They don't give a damn what evidence is presented. They're going to stand on that hill. For you to hear this new findings and to be able to say, they're in trouble, it says a lot about your character.
Thank you. Listen, I've always tried to call balls and strikes, right? I've always tried to be objective from a legal standpoint. I always say that again and again, right? This is a problem. This is a problem out the gate. You are on the money. Okay. The fact of the matter is, too many politicians, too many elected officials are tied way too close to too many potential, if not outright, suspects. That's what you have here. That's as clear as day. Now, what that means, people are going to have different opinions, but the conflict is glaring. This is problematic on a lot of levels for the state, for the county, for these individuals. And the longer they stay voluntarily tied to this investigation, the worse it is for them, because they are held to a greater public scrutiny. They are held to higher burdens that we can really dive into their pasts. They're not doing anybody any favors by staying attached to this case now.
Phone records, text messages between the governor and the Bart Edmondson Sr. Or his wife. Could those records be subpoenaed now?
Yes. How about emails? How about donations? How about attendance at events? How about what do you do in your personal life? We don't need to know the details day to day, but how deep does the personal relationship go? How long has it been there? When did certain elected officials become involved in this particular case and isn't consistent with how or when they would have gotten involved in any other case. You were one of the first ones to call out how quickly the governor put his foot in without knowing anything and had a statement to make. I remember you saying that. And now that is coming back to haunt him big time. And it should.
This is my thing. Jack. If nobody interfered, why should transparency be a problem? Like, and why on earth would the governor, who said he hadn't even seen the case, he said he wasn't even following the case, he knows little or nothing about it, but he don't suspect foul play? Come on, man. Come on.
Transparency should never be an issue. We shouldn't have to have it come to this level of public inquiry to have transparency. That is why the government has issues with their connection to the public, because of this lack of transparency. And then you have these connections. There's an adage that says the cover-up is always worse than the crime. And look at what they're doing here. We are pretty much setting up the basis that, are these elected officials, are they in some way acting unethically, meaning like by their obligations in their public office, or criminally? And if they are, everything they're doing subsequent is making it that much worse. They should have come clean out the gate, said, as an attorney, if I'm in court and I have a specific relation to a judge, to a prosecutor, one of the first things I'm supposed to do is disclose that. And if anyone has an issue with it, they're allowed to raise it and say, Mr. Palmieri should not be on this case because of this conflict, because he golfs with this judge every Saturday. And by the way, he owes the judge $20. Those things should be disclosed, because you want to show I have nothing to hide. And if there's a problem, that's legitimate, and you don't get to be a chef in every kitchen. This is very troubling for anyone who has staunchly protected the government officials. I've been very critical on all sides. I said I didn't know enough, and as things develop, I'm very open to changing my position on things. This is a problem. This is why defense attorneys like me exist, because of politicians and elected officials like those. They need people like you, Willie, like me, to constantly attack them and break the system down from the inside out.
What should Nolan Wells' parents be demanding right now?
I think at this point, I know we've differed a little bit on this. This might be a good basis now to call in the FBI, because you need someone to take over the investigation. It can't just be you, right? It can't be
independent investigators.
Right. Because Mississippi itself is so scrutinized, I don't even know I'd want a sister county to do it. I've talked elsewhere that there's 3 prongs the FBI could come in and take this over. The one of them I think now is starting to really come into play is the color of law, the concerns of civil rights violations. This is why Ben Crump got involved in the first place. Say what you want about him and his intent or his agenda, but he has brought serious civil rights violations to the forefront, and a lot of people benefited from his input. Now you're starting to see that now. You're starting to see that the state level can't be trusted to do it themselves. You have to have the FBI come in. They've done it before in major cases in the past. You could name them off the top of your head. But now's the time to take it from them, because they're not giving it up and they need to.
If you discovered one phone call between somebody that is politically connected and somebody that is investigating this case, what's your next move?
Now I want all the records. I want the records of that person. I follow the trail. If I have 2 people in a conversation, I want to know who those 2 people were talking to, independent of that. I want to trace it all the way back, not just to the beginning of this case, July 4th, but to before that. How deep do the ties go? We're talking, the real, Black Flag, Cloak and Dagger type Yale underground fraternity stuff here, right? How like the black hand of the government, right? You've all heard the Illuminati type stories. This is what we're talking about at a state level, where it goes so deep, right? You have a few families that control a certain geography. Start to look that way here, right? You bring in all the emails, all the public records. I want to see financials. I want to see where their ties are. Do they go to the same golf club together? The same car dealership? Has anyone had any really big contributions made to them, or gifts that maybe weren't disclosed? Anyone getting free trips on a flight? Anyone getting a lot of free meals? For the public officials, they are fair game. I've always said they're fair game. You look at everything.
We're looking at everything, fam, we're going to switch over to UA attorney Yamika Lewis. But thank you for coming on the show, man, and adding your valuable input as always, ladies and gentlemen. Always. Jack Palmieri. Here we go.
Hi.
Hey, how you?
I'm good. I'm good. I was saying hi to Jack before he got off.
Yeah. Jack had to move around. Jack got stuff to do. But check this. But so here we are, Yamika. So what do you think of all of this? Let's follow the paper trail. See, even if no crime was committed, these connections raise questions about transparency, conflict, the case being compromised. How can favoritism matter legally? Because some people say, well, people know people, and that don't mean that they're guilty just because they know somebody.
Of course, that's true. But at the same time, I think I got the tail end of kind of what Attorney Jack was alluding to, that, when you have all these state actors just kind of, I want to say colluding. I don't want to go so far because that insinuates they're involved in the crime already. But when you have them conspiring for whatever reason, crime or not, civil or not, it does raise issues, I think, that are concerning. And, with these people, I believe that Mississippi is much like Texas, where I'm at. And I think I can see that happening here. I know I can see that happening here in Texas. I've been in these little counties, these little towns in Texas, where the whole town is just, it's like a kingdom. Everybody is handed down their positions from the last generation. All you have to do is squeak your way through law school, and we're going to put you high up on the throne as a judge. Or, if you can't get through law school, we'll have you be the sheriff or the county judge or something like that, or justice of the peace. So yeah, I mean, I can see that definitely being mimicked in Mississippi. In fact, I don't want to talk too bad about Mississippi, but I'm sure they knew very well about how to build that blueprint that Texas could follow.
You're absolutely on point. Like, what public records would you request immediately?
Oh, so I would definitely ask for all communications relating to Nolan Wells from anybody, any public official. If it says his name, if it says anything related to this, anything related to this case, anything about that weekend, I want any communications that are exchanged between anybody and those events. And they know how to, put all that stuff now in the search engine, pull those things up and get them to you. But if they're anything like Texas, as soon as you ask for something like that in a public record, they're going to run to the AG and ask the Attorney General to help them, to allow them to withhold that information so they don't have to release it. That's something is a constant that we deal with here in Texas of, you're asking for public records, and the first thing they want to do is run to the Attorney General and say, hey, this is what they'll say is there's a pending investigation going on, and this request is basically going to impede that. So can we withhold this information? And 9 times out of 10, that is what will happen.
Right. Right. I want to go right now and take my audience to Bart Edmondson. This guy right here is the one whose lawyer is trying to spook everybody. He don't want the content creators talking about him. He don't want the journalists saying anything about him. He don't want anybody, civil rights attorneys, anybody got something to say, pointing the finger Bart way. He say he gonna sue him for defamation. He want him defamation coming to get you. He coming to get you. Now, my thing is this: like, people can have an opinion. People right now are following evidence. They're following the evidence, just like I did. I followed the evidence. I'm looking at Bart. Why are they so fixated on silencing people from talking about this case? What makes Bart so special that we can't talk about him, but all of these other cases people got opinions about? They talk about everybody else. They talk about the victims. They talk about the accused. They talk about the suspects. They talk about people that's involved or connected. Anybody can get it when you're talking about a murder investigation. So I'm looking at Bart's lawyer. Bart, I'm gonna tell you, Bart can blame his lawyer for me digging this stuff up, because I wouldn't have dug it up if he wasn't so hell bent on trying to sue everybody for talking about the case. Obviously, if you talk about the case and you take his position that he's innocent, obviously you're safe. But if you say anything that they don't agree with, then they want to try to threaten you with defamation lawsuits and things of that nature, like other people don't have lawyers, right? Anyway,
Right.
so Bart can blame his lawyer for me digging this stuff up, because see what happens with human beings when you try to make a human being silence, when you try to tell a human being what they can and can't do, and you try to make them mind, usually they will buck. And I'm bucking right now. So I'm searching and I'm looking, and I come across this photo, right? Now, this photo, a few other content creators have this photo. They've shared this photo. So salute to the ones who have shared this photo already.
Okay.
However, let's go back to the call, the CETO 911 sinking boat call. Remember that call was enhanced by Janetta Brantley. Warren Hudson, one of Nolan's alleged friends, took exception to that call. He even called it enhanced. They're believing this enhanced phone call. Like enhanced is something bad. Enhanced means better. It means greater, right?
Clarified, yes. Magnified, clarified.
Magnified, yes. Right? So I took it upon myself. Janetta enhanced the call. I enhanced the photo. And I want to make sure so you can see that this guy in the middle is Governor Tate Reeves. The guy on his right is Bart Edmondson Sr. And the woman on his left in the green dress is Elizabeth Edmondson. Now, what is the connection? Why is Elizabeth in all of this? Well, Elizabeth, besides being Bart's mother, Elizabeth was appointed to the Mississippi State Board of Health by, guess who? Ding, 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 ding. Governor Tate Reeves. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have a break in the case. I think we have something here that the civil rights attorneys and the prosecutor can latch on to. And I think that the people of America want to know the truth. The people of America want to know, why was the governor so quick to call this no foul play? We don't suspect foul play. Why was the governor so quick to say that? That is because the governor has a relationship, a personal relationship with the Edmondsons. Yeah, and the Edmondsons are prominent residents of Ocean Springs, Mississippi. Now, just because somebody is friends with somebody who's accused or who is the subject of a murder investigation does not make them automatically guilty. However, the lack of transparency is something that we got to address, right, Yumika?
That's true, and that's the biggest thing. And I think I'm a very good lawyer. I really impress myself sometimes on my investigations, I must say. But one of the things that is my gift is that I pay attention to words. I pay attention to the little benign thing that you may think is benign by just saying it. I pay attention to, and a lot of things that they're saying or not saying, I'm paying attention to. And so, like, I've watched some of these interviews with these young men. I've seen some of these, like right now, they're on this whole media spree right now, trying to exonerate people who have done nothing. That's not how you move. If you've done nothing, you're supposed to be using all those resources to find out what happened to your friend. Why aren't you doing that? Why aren't you doing that? There's a problem here. We might not be pointing directly at the correct problem, but there is a problem here. Something has gone on here that they find to be problematic that needs to that they don't want it to come to light, whatever it may be. But there's something there. There is something there. And again, I've watched these little interviews. This is not my case, so I kind of dip in and out on the highlights of what's gone on, and I try to keep up with it. And on one of the interviews that I watched with this what's his name, Tatum, I watched him, which was foolishness, to have these boys all sit up and be interviewed by him. He is, I don't know how he calls himself being an officer, or even I don't know how he got trained as an officer, because he's more like a defense a defense, I won't even say attorney, but just defense oriented of these young men, instead of being an interrogating detective or officer trying to
what about
down
public
to the
defender? Public defender.
I won't even call them that. Public defenders are great, but maybe court appointed. I don't know, but jailhouse lawyer, maybe that. So anyhow, jailhouse lawyer. with that being said, I just heard like all these words they were using in this interview that really just put up my signals to say, like, this is weird for them to say use these certain terms. A lot of the grand scheme of what they came away with, what I came away with, of the theme of was they wish this never happened. I don't know why they're using that term. What do you wish never happened? One young man said, I wish we never went out on July 4th. Well, why? If you did nothing wrong, maybe I wish I would have stayed behind with Nolan. Maybe I wish I would have encouraged him to go ahead and come with us. If you have all these wishes, why is that your wish?
Yeah.
You got to pay attention to words. Your word. If he committed suicide, if he was attacked by somebody else, what would your wishes be? I wish I would have talked to him more to find out what was going on with him, to see if he was having any problems. I wish I would, there's so many other wishes to have other than the wishes that they've brought to the forefront. To me, those thoughts matter, because you could have said all these other things and you didn't. It's like something else. And that's why you have that grand wish that we would have never went out there that day. Why? You did nothing wrong.
You've seen all the characters, at least most of the characters so far in this case. Based on what you've seen and heard, who would you put under oath first?
Well, I would the young lady. I would start there and work backwards. Yes,
Katie.
The sister, Katie, the sister. I would start there and work backwards. Let's get this out the way. Now, you guys, everybody is pointing to those ladies. We left him with, these ladies, and that's the last we saw. Well, let's talk to her first. Let's start the timeline from her, and let's see if what you're saying, in fact, is true. How long I would just really dig into Katie first, and not not to batter her, but just to get information. That's who I want to talk to first.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on, Yumika. As always, you again providing that strong information that we need, that the public want to know, unbiased.
Anyway, there's another thing that I want to add before I go. Chris Cuomo. I watched an interview he's done. He has drawn a line in the sand. I've always admired him, but with this case, he's drawn a line in the sand. He's very much defending these young men with this attorney Latino. He's brought him on the show, and he's allowed him to use his platform to try to defend this Edmonds person. So I just found that to be very interesting in all this too. So keep your eye out on that realm of things as well.
Chris is on code. He just being on code, and I know some of y'all don't want to hear this, but watch out for Nancy too.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So, fam, let's move on into, now that we've discussed the paper trail, let's move on into the psychology of power. I got my main man on right now. I got Elliot Connie here. Welcome back, Elliot.
Thanks for having me back.
Hey, man, what do you make of this? What do you make of the governor of Mississippi being quick to call this a no foul play case, and then at the same time he knows that he's in pictures with Bart Edmondson Sr. and his mother, and the fact that he actually appointed Elizabeth Edmondson to the Mississippi State Board of Health?
I don't know. I can't speak to specifics because I'm not 100%. I'm just learning about all of this now as you're sharing it. But I will say the psychology of power is wanting to stay in power, and the psychology of power is wanting to use your power to protect people around you. That's just the psychology of power and how power works. I will also say it makes me think of Emmett Till. It makes me think of Medgar Evers. It makes me think of the history of Mississippi. Now, if anybody knows the story of Medgar Evers was assassinated, and while his wife was testifying about that assassination, she watched the governor of Mississippi at that time walk over to the defense table and shake the accused hand, a guy by the name of Byron Daley Beckwith. She watched the governor walk into the trial while she's sitting on the witness stand, walk over to Byron Daley Beckwith, who stood accused of murdering Medgar Evers, and then shook his hand. And she said she knew in that moment, this is not going to be a fair trial. And if anybody knows the history of that case, Byron Daley Beckwith was acquitted multiple times until ultimately being tried for a murder he committed in the 60s or even 50s, I think. And he was finally convicted in the 90s in a third trial. So I think it is very, very difficult for me to be in the position of Christine Wansley, thinking with all of these close connections to the governor of Mississippi, who is the most powerful man politically in Mississippi, that I'm going to be able to get a fair trial.
Elliot, sometimes you're just too damn good. I can't even get my questions off sometimes because you cover it before I could even ask, because I absolutely was going to ask you about, how does the psychology of knowing that someone has your back, when you know that someone powerful has your back, how does that affect your psychology? I was going to absolutely ask you that, and you just knocked it out the park again, man. I'm probably gonna have to get another guest, man, because you
Don't do that. I don't like coming by, Willie.
You're really good, man. Let's talk about this loyalty though. But good people who claim to be good, how do they reconcile protecting bad behavior?
Well, I think everybody's heard that phrase, like power corrupts, and power corrupts absolutely. So it's when you have power. This is going to sound really. This is a general statement, and it's probably going to sound overly blanketed, and I apologize for that. But when you have power, you tend to use that power to avoid accountability because you are in a position where you can do so. So I would love to say that, like, if let's say these kids came home, allegedly, I'm just being hypothetical here, but let's say these kids came home and said, we got into a fight with Nolan, he fell and hit his head and he died. What do we do? I would love to tell you that the normal response would be, you know what, you did this, you have to face the consequences of your actions, we're going to go turn yourself into the police, et cetera, et cetera. But power has a tendency to say, look, I know the governor, I know the attorney general, I know the medical examiner, I'm going to start making some calls to protect you. Like that's what power tends to do. So I don't know that any of that, like I just said, that's a hypothetical situation. I don't know that any of that has taken place in this scenario, but I can say if I'm in the position of Nolan Wells' family, I am fearful that there are a lot of connections in this situation that make my pursuit of truth and justice much more complicated, because that's what people do. And it's not, this isn't like ancient history. When Ahmaud Arbery was murdered, one of the father of the person who pulled the trigger formerly worked for the sheriff's department. One of the very first calls he made was to the judge that he used to work for, and the judge began to instruct him on what to say, how to say it, and to whom to say it. She later faced consequences for doing that and was indicted, and I believe she was removed from her position. I think she was actually I think she was convicted, but don't hold me to those details. But he immediately called his former boss, the judge. She immediately started instructing him what to do and what to say, because that's what power does. It corrupts. And all of the things that are our good morals all of a sudden kind of go out the window because we're in a position of power. And one of the things that human beings do, it's human nature, we all do it, it's we want to protect ourselves. We want to protect those that we love. So we start doing things to protect ourselves and protect those that we love simply because we have the access and power to do so.
Okay, so you just mentioned the people who on the power side of it, a person who might be in a position of power, who can use that power and extend that power to his friends. But what about how does can a person who is connected to power, right? The person who is connected to power, how can they, how do you explain their behavior under scrutiny? Can they change their behavior? Does that power, that connection to power, oftentimes, show itself in their behavior under scrutiny?
Yeah, of course. I mean, not only can they change their behavior, they should change their behavior. But what they're doing is they're accessing their connections to power. Like they're calling people that they know, and like it is not coincidence that they ended up with Trump's defamation attorney. That's what, like, I have access to power. It is not coincidence that their very whiteness puts them in a position of access to power. If the shoe were on the other foot, if three black kids went out with their one white friend and that white friend was the only one who did not come home, they couldn't put up a crowdfunding link and get over $100,000, close to $200,000 to pay for legal fees. That wouldn't happen. They're weaponizing their positionality, and part of that is their whiteness. Part of that is their political affiliations. Part of that is their wealth and access to finance. Part of that is access to the people that they have access to. And yeah, like when they end up in a situation where they're in trouble, and maybe they're in trouble because of public perception. Maybe they're in trouble because they know something or did something. Maybe they're in trouble because they're just really upset. But they're prioritizing their own power more than they are the experience of their best friend and brother's uh, family. And to me, it's a very low moral activity, because if you cared about Nolan Wells, then you would inherently care about his family. If you cared about Nolan Wells to the degree you say about you care about Nolan Wells, you'd care about their experiences. You've got to know that doing interviews with former Officer Tatum is triggering to that family. Why not just shut the hell up, let the investigation run its course, and just sit back? And by the way, if you want to sue people for defaming you, you can still do that when the investigation has run its course without triggering this mother and family. So they are accessing power. They're positioning themselves. They're centering their own experiences. When they were asked if what's one thing they could change, they didn't say the pain of the mom. They said, we wish that we weren't in this situation and my friend Tristan can't buy Gatorade. It's like, that woman over there just lost her son. That dad over there just lost her son. Like, what are you talking about? So power corrupts, and it corrupts absolutely, and they are trying to protect themselves from things they perceive as threats.
Yeah, so that attorney for 3 of the boys, I think it was Warren Hudson, it was Patello, and what was it?
Jax.
Why Patello, and then it was Jax. No,
Yeah.
Jack Patello is his name, and then it was the other dude. So Seymour, what is it? Seymour. I can't remember his first name. In any event, this guy was saying how these were fine men. He called them fine.
He called
said
them
these
good American men.
good Americans, fine
what he called
men.
it. Yeah.
Look, he's not only dog whistling to his supporters who are, who have that so-called upstanding reputation or who have prestige, but he's also sneak dissing poor white people. He's sneak dissing poor white people because he would if they were poor, he would never say these are upstanding young men. He wouldn't say they were fine, upstanding young men. So what he's doing is playing towards the power dynamics here, the privilege.
Yes. Yes.
So what he got going on now is the idea of privilege creating an expectation of being believable.
Oh, for sure.
Like since I'm privileged, you should believe me. Since these boys come from money, and by the way, they're defining fine as having money. That's what he's really saying. If you got money and you got privilege, then you come from a fine family.
And you're less likely to commit crime in those situations, which we know is not true. Which we know is not statistically true. But he's playing on the biases of people, right? Like if I took a black man dressed as me today, t-shirt, I'm wearing sweatpants, jewelry and whatever, and then I take a white kid looking just like Wyatt looks, he knows that if he put me and Wyatt in a lineup and said which one of them has a felonious background, he knows that the general public is going to pick me. So he is highlighting that, and he is playing off that. And to be honest with you, I actually have less of a problem with the attorney because attorneys will attorney. Like, he's doing his job. My bigger problem are the adults in the room, including those boys, because they're not boys, they're young men. If they were black, we'd be calling them men. So these young men are 18, 19, 20 years old.
That's right.
My problem is that attorney is going to do what attorneys do, which is advocate for their clients and use every weapon in the arsenal to do so.
Okay, I give you that. That's true. I'll give him that.
Yeah, and someone needs to hold these kids, these young men, responsible for their choices and actions. And someone needs to say to them, even if you are upset about being defamed online, let's let this family pursue justice and have this investigation done because you're the one who said you care about Nolan. And when everything is said and done, we'll sue every content creator on the internet. But for now, let's prioritize the investigation. They're not doing that. So now here's this lawyer involved who's now murking the waters because he's more interested in protecting their defamation and their reputations than he is actually finding justice for whatever on earth happened to Nolan Wells.
You got a point there. Can believing that you're untouchable make you cause you to make mistakes that you otherwise might not make?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely, for sure. And I don't know, Willie, if you've had any PR experts um, on your platform, but every PR expert I've ever worked with would say these interviews are not good. Like there
Mhm.
is no reason from a PR standpoint to do these interviews. The most powerful weapon in terms of public relation is silence.
Silence. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they are going on these interviews, giving people lots of content with which to scrutinize, and B, like they're not behaving as people that are above reproach. And someone needs to say to them, let's just be quiet. There's there's no upside for going on an interview platform with former Officer Tatum, and like there's no upside for this. Like someone needs to jump out ahead of this and say, you guys just need to be quiet.
There you go. Well, thank God that you ain't being quiet, man. We
No,
need that
sir.
voice, man. We need that voice.
You
Ladies and
got it.
gentlemen, Elliot Connie, appreciate you, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me, and keep doing what you're doing, Willie.
Absolutely. So let's move on, fam. Let's get into it. Let's get into it with my man Andrew Wilkerson. He's a trial attorney, and he knows a thing or two about people trying to hide things. Yeah.
100%. What's going on, man?
Welcome back to the show, man.
Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it. Glad to be
So,
here.
Man, what do you make of this photo right here? What do you make of this photo with Governor Tate? That's the Mississippi Governor Tate, and his friend to the right, that's Bart Edmondson Sr., and then Bart's wife to the left of the governor, Elizabeth Edmondson, who he actually appointed as the Mississippi State Board of Health. He appointed her to the Mississippi State Board of Health. What do you think about this picture, and how does this compromise the case, or is this just another picture?
Oh, it 100% compromises the case. I feel the same way about it that I feel about the Metcalf family being with the judge. I feel the same way about it, about the Metcalf family allegedly having some sort of connection to court officers that were involved. These, and I say allegedly because it's just so much out here. But do you see anything familiar? You see what I'm saying? I mean, do you? I mean, the word is biased. It's biased. Bias means that a person has some sort of inclination to take a side, one side or the other. Okay. Now, this is very deeply rooted, and you got to understand, come on now. One of the only things we have to go off of, right, is the coroner's report, right? A medical examiner, a medical professional would have to do the coroner's report. Any medical examiner, or, I would think that they were in the, where'd you say she was appointed to the health?
She was appointed to the Mississippi State Board of Health.
I would think that anybody that is a medical physician, doctor, whatever, would be in that community, right? They would be in that community. I'm well aware of what the Texas State Bar is. I'm well aware of what the Dallas Bar Lawyers Association. You see what I'm saying? I'm in that community. You see what I'm saying? These people know each other, right? Let me tell you something that they ask before I start every single trial. I've probably done about, maybe give or take, 40 trials, right? Every single trial. Does any of the jurors in here know Mr. Wilkerson? Huh? Does anybody in here know the prosecution? They won't even let me conduct a biased trial. Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, there's an issue with that. Like, if I got somebody from high school that's on my jury, I'm probably willing to up the ante a little bit on this bet. You know what I'm saying? I'm willing to up the ante because I know this person. You see what I'm saying? That's what bias is. So these people knowing each other, this ain't no small deal. It's not a small deal. You can't have a biased investigation that leads up to an unbiased trial.
Huh? Boom! Oh man,
you see what I'm saying?
Out of here, man. You're supposed to drop the mic at the end of the show, man. Dang.
This one don't drop. It's on. I can't drop it. I just move it out the way. You know what I'm saying? But you can't. Everything. The criminal justice. It should be called the alleged criminal justice system, because you're not a criminal until you're found guilty. But the point is this is justice for the people within this system. You see what I'm saying? Justice for the Nolan Wells family. These folk know each other, man. These folk know each other. Look, I don't even know you that well, Willie. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting to know you. I don't know you that well. But if somebody came to me and wanted to tear you down, I'm gonna probably have something good to say about you. You see what I'm saying? I would be more biased towards someone that I know a little bit than someone I don't know at all. You understand what I'm saying? Which means I should probably be taking out the equation to decide your character if it's being questioned.
Yeah.
You see what I'm recuse yourself. Even judges have to recuse themselves if they biased, which is a big issue of that picture coming out after the Carmelo Anthony case, right? And I'm not trying to take it there, but I'm comparing the two. I mean, this is some deeply rooted stuff that they do, man. They make the laws, they made the laws to benefit them. And let me say this. I don't hate white people at all. I went to private school until I was in 6th grade. Okay. I know plenty good white people. I love the good white people. Now that that's out the way.
You just call them a strike and a ball a ball.
That's it. That's it. You know, in a joke. And this is a joke, man. It's a joke. You know, they won't let nobody sit on the jury. Let me tell you something else. If the prosecution calls a witness to the stand that knows me, right? Oh, and just so the jury can know, you did go to high school with Mr. Wilkerson, didn't you? So you would probably sit up here and say whatever you needed to say in order for him to win. You see what I'm saying? Like, bias is something that's in the Texas Rules of Evidence that if you notice it, you are allowed to bring it forth in front of a jury. Bias is not no small deal. So you know, I mean, it just says a whole lot about the investigation. Oh, so you mean the same governor that appointed her, right, is the same one that says there's no foul play?
Right.
I mean, it's like we just fell off the turnip truck or something. Like they think we stupid. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Have we reached a point in this investigation where the investigation, the case needs to be taken out of the hands of local authorities?
Hell yeah. I mean, like we've already talked about, I say if something happened in Mississippi and it's any inkling of a lack of investigation or people dragging their feet, send it, go and get the DOJ down there. Mississippi is deeply rooted, man. That's what I'm saying. We got bias in Collin County, you know, with all them people that think they got money out there, but this is bias in Mississippi, man. This shit been going on. Freedom Riders, this shit been going on maybe a century. We can literally say with confidence that this is 100 years at least deeply rooted stuff that's going on. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, man. I mean, anytime that there's and then a bigger thing is when these things come out, like in the Carmelo Anthony case, or come out right now, ain't nobody rebutting them. Everybody, it's crickets. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know what to take from that. Because I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes I feel I don't need to defend myself. You want to believe that stupid shit, then gonna believe it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I feel that way. But other times, if something is so outlandish that it needs to be cleared up, I feel like I need to say a thing or two. So I'm not really sure what the silence behind that means. But to me, it smells fishy, man. Real fishy.
Could investigators themselves become witnesses in this case?
They're gonna have to be. Yeah, prosecutors call their investigators to the stand all the time. Yeah, because that's who, because a prosecutor can't, anytime a prosecutor is, when they are ethical and they're doing it right and they're going by protocol, anytime a prosecutor interviews a witness, they should have the investigator there, right? Because they can't put themselves on the stand and say, you told me this, right? They have to put a third party on the stand to attest to what they heard, saw, touch, taste, smell, whatever with they 5 senses. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, an investigator, damn, yeah, I would call the investigator. If the prosecutor don't call him, I'm calling him.
Yeah. Yeah, and why not? You know, like if everything was handled properly, why not put all the cards on the table let the people see what's going on, be completely transparent. We're over a month into this case, and Mississippi still has not shown the public the autopsy. They haven't revealed the autopsy results. They have not revealed the toxicology reports. They haven't even given us an update on the investigation. All they're saying is, we're working on it. We're working on it. It reminds me of a car salesman, and we've all been there. You buy a car, and the salesman and you get to an impasse where he says, well, look, I can't make that decision. Let me go talk to my manager. He gets up, walks into the room, and he's in there kicking it for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and he really ain't talking about your car. They're talking about the game or some chicks or everything except your case. And then he comes back out and he said, yeah, man, he said that's the best we can do. You know what I mean? Like, he already had his answer 20 minutes ago. He had his answer before he left. I believe the state of Mississippi had their answer when they found out a black kid was missing and white boys were suspected of killing him.
I don't think you far off the mark.
I believe they already had their case. They had already done their investigation. That was the extent of their investigation. Why else would the sheriff say, without ever examining the body, reading any official report from any of the detectives or anything, say, we don't suspect foul play? When they say we don't suspect foul play, when they say that right out the gate before examining the body or anything, in my opinion, they're saying that to tell the parent, don't expect anything further than what you have. Don't expect us to bring anybody to justice for this. Don't expect any suspects. We're gonna shut this. This is shut down right now. Don't expect no phone calls from us. Do not expect any for us to use our resources on this thing because we don't suspect foul play.
Well, it's almost like, who can I? You from Houston? Let me use T-Mac. You remember T-Mac? He run out of dribbles, throw it off the glass to himself and dunk it. You ain't doing nothing but throwing it off the glass to yourself. You ain't doing nothing but preparing the people for the news that you know you're gonna give them anyway. That's all you're doing is getting them in the mind frame that you need them to get in. But you see, people like us that ask questions ain't going for that. We looking at what you ain't saying. You see what I'm saying? We looking at what you ain't showing us. I might have been on your show, man, a week and a half ago, and we were saying then that they wasn't sharing the coroner's report, the results of what was going on. You see what I'm saying? I mean, they're dragging their feet. And let me tell you what they know for sure. You could be the worst officer in the academy, but one thing you know is that evidence dissipates with time. It dissipates with time. They're not going to find more than they would have found on the first day. I mean, why you think they even got the show First 48? Yeah. Why they got First 48? It ain't called the first 7 days. It ain't called first as long as this investigation lasts. No, you got 48 hours before this evidence is gone. It dissipates. It fades away. You see what I'm saying? It has to be some sort of sense of urgency to find out what's going on. So that's what scares me the most, right? Coming out telling us what's going, the coroner report, the results of such ain't gonna change as much as the analysis may. You see what I'm saying? They may change what they say about what the results are now. You see, but the results are the results. But anything else that'll help you, man, it might be gone. It might be, and you're dealing with water. You're dealing with, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's tough, man. It's tough. And, even if the DOJ was called in now, I don't know. I mean, what we coming up on 6 weeks from his death?
Yeah. Let's say you were the prosecutor here. And let's say,
I'd never be a prosecutor, but just for these purposes.
I think I could play the role for certain people. I'll prosecute their ass, certain people. I'll come like this one right here. I'll step up to prosecute this. Yeah,
I would like to be a special prosecutor.
I'll be a special. That's what I'm saying. I'll be a special prosecutor for this.
When the cops kill an unarmed black man or something. Oh yeah. Tap me in.
I can do that.
But anything else, yeah.
So let's say you got this picture right here. Again, this is the picture of the governor with one of the guys that many people suspect of being involved in Nolan Wells's death. He's standing there with one of the young man's father to the right, to his left, and the young man's mother to his right. They're obviously friends because this is not just a picture. He also appointed the mother to the Mississippi State Board of Health. They are friends. They have a relationship. They have connections. So, and this is her up close. This is Elizabeth Edmondson, who is the mother of Bart Edmondson. Remember? God damn it, Bart. Or damn it, Bart is what he said. Damn it, Bart. That's her son. Damn it, Bart. Right? So, let's say you got these pictures. Let's say exhibit A. Oh, here's a picture right here. This is Bart. This is Bart with his Pooh Shiesty mask on. Look like we may have lost him. Okay, you back. This is Bart.
There we go.
This is Bart with his Pooh Shiesty mask on. Y'all know what a Pooh Shiesty mask is? What it's typically used for? It's typically used for committing crimes, robbery, murder. Okay, I ain't saying he murdered somebody, not in this particular situation right here, but I'm just saying that's what that mask is used for, right? That's how it came. That's what it's most prominently used for. Okay, so that's Bart, right? This is Bart's mother, Elizabeth, and then this is Elizabeth in the green dress, and the governor next to her in the blue shirt, and then her husband, Bart Edmondson Sr. in the white shirt. Let's say you got those exhibits, and you're making the case. How do you connect the dots and create how do you create a compelling argument that these guys are somehow all connected, and that therefore you cannot trust, you cannot trust this relationship, and you cannot trust you damn near can't even trust the investigation.
I mean, this picture is proof of a connection, unless it's fake. This alleged, let me protect both of us. This alleged picture is proof. It's proof itself. If it was me, I would check on the lady in the green and the guy in the white on the governor's left side. I would check on their movement since this happened. I would maybe try to see if there's been some sort of meeting that's occurred. I would maybe see what phone calls were made to the governor's office. Maybe try to subpoena some stuff. You see what I'm saying? Right. And I would dig very deeply into the confines of their relationship. I would see how deep it was. Is this just somebody that you thought was good to be appointed, or is this somebody that knows her, or is this? I would look into the depth of that relationship. I would, and I would also question why the governor is involved anyway. Why he making why did he even feel the need to make a statement? You understand what I'm saying? I have been in at least 8 or 9 murder or capital murder trials, and the governor ain't said not one thing about none of them victims. You see what I'm saying? So I apologize for this phone ringing, man. I'm at my bond office, man, and it's just going crazy. But yeah, I mean, if it were me, I would. I mean, look at the governor, man. He got his chest poked out, kinda. That's kind of like one of my club poses right there, man. That's a confident pose right there.
You look like you're trying to hold
Yeah, and they're awfully close to not know each other. You ain't got to stand that close to nobody to take a picture with them. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So I would do all that stuff that prosecutors do. I would play on the emotions of the jury. You see what I'm saying? I would talk about how outlandish it was for the governor to make that comment in the first place before a detailed investigation was going on. That's what I would do.
I think he did that because it's Mississippi and they're used to doing things how they want to do it with no outside influence, nobody prying around. Every now and then, Mississippi gets one of those cases that can't be ignored. They can't just sweep it under the rug. It comes under public scrutiny, like national scrutiny, right? And they can't get around it. And this is one of those cases. And I do believe they're making a lot of these mistakes because typically they do whatever they want to do and nobody says anything about it. Nobody does anything about it. And they're panicking a little bit because even though they've gotten away with literally murder in the past, they're probably thinking to themselves, there's a slither of a chance that perhaps justice could be served. And I think they're panicking. That's why I think they're making all of these mistakes that they're making.
Look, man, and another thing that should be said about that picture too, right? You know, us as black people, I'm gonna teach my sons this, I'm gonna teach my daughters this. We have to worry about the optics, right? We have to worry about what things look like, even if that's not what's going on. We got to worry about looking like a certain type of person, even if that's not what's going on. Mm-hmm. You don't really have to worry about the optics when you control the narrative. These folk controlling that narrative. You see what I'm saying? So you know, it's you know, creating laws that benefit you versus creating friends in positions of power that can benefit you. I don't know if I'm gonna walk through door number 1 or door number 2 on that one. But both of those is some whoppers. You see what I'm saying? You can move some furniture with both of those. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, I don't know, man. I think we're just all looking and attaching ourselves to the optics of this thing, man. And it just looks bad, which makes it smell bad. Even these interviews, like I just saw the interview I sent you before I logged on, you know, with Sheriff, whatever his name is, or officer, whatever his name is. All right. Mm-hmm. He got these boys sitting in the room together. He really ain't asking them no conflicting or contradicting questions at all. It's almost like
they leading them.
They watching a football game or something. They chilling.
He was actually leading them.
Exactly. So, and they looking at each other and doing hand motions, and you know what I'm saying? My partner that I know forever, all I gotta do is look. He know what to say. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I'm sure you got partners like that too that you know forever. So he is venturing away from everything protocol. Officer, you're an officer, right? Officers arrest co-defendants at the same time. You got one in the trap on the north side, one in the trap on the east side. Task force kick in the door at 4:30 on the dot, both of them. That's a controlled arrest in a controlled environment. They do that so these folks can't call each other, so these folks can't get their shit together, so these folks can't circumvent the system, right? When they get them, they take them down to the police station. They put them in 2 separate rooms. They don't sit them in a room together. You see what I'm saying? And they really not too much asking you no questions. They telling you what you did. They telling you what they got. They telling you what it means to them. You understand what I'm saying? So everything it's just controlling the narrative, man. He's like a layer of protection for these boys. You see what I'm saying?
Men,
in one way,
it
looks
they're men. They're not boys.
Men.
They're men.
Men. You're right.
Yeah.
You're 100% correct. He's a layer of protection for him. He's asking them questions. He's going so far outside of protocol, you can't even respect it. And then the man talks about integrity. This whole process you working is no integrity in it. You see what I'm saying? So it's just continuously controlling the narrative. Continuously. You know, that's a big deal, man. That's a big deal.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get to the bottom of it one way or another, man. And I'm sure you're going to be right here with me when we break the news that somebody's talk. I'm telling you, somebody going to talk. I don't personally believe that they'll get justice in Mississippi, but I do believe that at some point, somebody going to talk The fact of the matter is, murder has no statute of limitations. And it's going to be impossible for all of those people that was involved in some kind of way to keep their mouth shut for the next 50, 60 years that they live that long. It's going to be impossible. You got spouses involved, you got siblings involved, you got other friends involved, co-workers, you got friends who are going to become enemies at some point involved. Somebody gonna talk.
Right.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you.
Man, gone. We done did this trial run, man. Go on, get me for a live show, man. You know what I'm saying?
Whatever you can come down, I'm with it.
Okay, yeah, that's my backyard, man. You know, I went to TSU, Thurgood Marshall, PG,
man. Let's set it up.
So I'm out there.
Let's set it up. Let's set it up today, man.
Okay.
Let's set it up today.
Okay.
Yeah, get you.
Okay,
Yeah, get
and
you
just to let y'all know, I ain't seen you say nothing about that money raising thing yet, man. I'm excited about that, man. Just let me chime in whenever you ready to push that forth, man.
Now, what are you talking about?
That program you got that where people can raise the money and.
Oh, okay. Oh, you talking about Unite Give? Yeah.
We'll
get on that. Yeah.
Okay, and we're gonna
Give,
be live at.
Well, I was going to say that these guys are raising that money on Give, Send, Go because I believe that GoFundMe wouldn't allow them to raise the money. But imagine, I think it was attorney Yumika Lewis who said that these guys that were what did she say? They were raising funds on Give, Send, Go, and they're being accused, or at least people are suspecting them of murder, and they're raising money for a defense. They're actually raising money for a defense, and they haven't even been charged with anything. But they're raising money for a defense that couldn't have happened if they were Black. They wouldn't have allowed that. Give, Send, Go wouldn't have ever even allowed that if they were Black. But the point is, we now have a platform. We now have a crowdfunding platform to whereas if we're, it's not just for raising funds for social justice, but social justice is a big piece of it. If we have a situation where we're railroaded and we get convicted and we feel that you're wrongly convicted, you feel like you're wrongfully convicted, you can come on the platform and raise money for your legal defense. And instead of getting kicked to the curb like they did Carmelo after he was convicted, because we get convicted, we get disproportionately wrongfully convicted more than anybody. So if that's the case, why would we not why would we not offer financial support to our people who are going through something like that? So that's one of the benefits of having your campaign on Unite Give.
For sure, man, 100%, man. Yeah. I'm excited about it. And I also want to let you know, man, and let your people know, we're gonna be live, man, next week at the Carmelo Anthony stuff on the 19th and the 20th. I think they got the recusal hearing on Wednesday, and on Thursday they have the motion for new trial, man. So Not Guilty Boys podcast, man, at attorney Andrew Wilkerson, at attorney Mike Esquire, man. We trying to give it to y'all raw, man. Same way my boy Willie D is, man. We trying to deliver. So chime in, man, and everybody keep saying that man's name.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, man. Ladies
and
gentlemen, Andrew Wilkerson, attorney Andrew Wilkerson. Let me put a little respect on his name. But absolutely, fam. Let's go into the comments and see what y'all are saying. We got, who is this? EZQ Universe. What's up? Eric Johnson. JC, what it do? MC Brian. Who is this? BAS Wolfgang. What it do? Dolls by Dream. Liz White. Mo Cosmo. Shalom. Was it Speedy 449, Delisa, Chuck Diesel, Avis, what's up, big country? The truth for real. That Chris Easter, Truth. We got Jean. Is that Jean? Janesta Coleman. Janesta Coleman. Appreciate you, Janesta. Appreciate you. Who is that? Francella. That's new. Never heard of that. Dope, Francella. I like it. Woolam Robin Mary. Terry L. Todd. Tony Spencer. Oliver Banks. Was that Battle Rudy? I'll tell you, fam, straight up. I personally, as much as I want the family to get some justice in this, I think the deck is stacked, man. Mississippi is corrupt, over corrupt. It's like a different. It's almost like you're dealing with a different country. Like you think it's hard to get justice in your state. Boy, that Mississippi is something different. And those uncivilized must pretend to be polite, to be part of polite society. But there's a certain level of wickedness that you can't even fathom. It's a certain level of wickedness you can't fathom there. And they cover for each other on the highest levels. All of it is smoke and mirrors. It's corruption behind all of it. So I don't see them getting justice, and I don't even see the FBI doing anything about it. This might be one of those cases where you have to wait till you get a new FBI. You got to wait and then go in. Can't wait too long, because if it turns into 5 years, it'll turn into a decade. And if it turns into a decade, ain't nobody ever going to jail. But what say you, fam? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. No more talk.